Well, welcome, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and welcome to the Macil Duncan Show here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, broadcasting live. Got some new stats for you right here from Street Level America and Heartbeat Radio USA. We have now been listened to in 30 states, plus the District of Columbia, 24 countries now outside of America. Two, we have a good following in Mexico and Canada, so that's 24 countries now. So we appreciate all that like and share the show. Tell your friends about the Macil Duncan Show here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, broadcasting live. We are also on Rumble, X, Locals.com, Facebook, and some others. So we appreciate all that like and tell their friends about the show. And as you do so, just know that there's always someone out there that likes to hear that there's a pastor that didn't shut down during the pandemic. We stayed open. Didn't shut down for a millisecond. Why? Because I just felt like it was our time to shine. That's one reason I ended up with a radio show. A local station wanted to interview me why we did not shut down when everybody else did. We were the only food distribution center for almost 3 months here in the Chattanooga area. We got known for feeding the hungry. Now, we had been doing it for almost 3 years at that point. But St. John's downtown, 1885 burger, 1885 restaurant, Five Guy Burgers, all these restaurants started calling saying, "Hey, are you the pastor feeding the hungry? I got food that's going to go to waste." Because remember, they shut down so many during the pandemic, and they shut things down. But I'm still amazed, and I know looking back, some of you are too, that churches and gyms were not seen as essential. But you could go get a lap dance or go get an abortion. But couldn't go get a haircut, couldn't go to the gym, and you couldn't go to church. So isn't that interesting? So I just say that to you to tell you that there's a pastor that did not shut down, will not shut down, and believes that there is a need. This is our time to shine. If you are a believer in Christ, I think you would agree with me. In the darkest of times, not is when we hide, it's when we shine. And the eclipse yesterday, many folks were getting a little doom and gloomish, a little fearful. And I kept telling folks, hey, it's not going to be the rapture. I've been proven true, unless I missed something. But the point is, sometimes we can get a little sensational, and we don't want to do that here on this show. We want to be factual. Well, speaking of factual, Jesse Waters broke a story that the FBI got caught lying again. Sad news for the country. But the FBI has once again stacked the stats to try to make things look better for Biden. And we're finding out that they told some whopper boppers there. The BBR, Business and Politics, says the FBI caught lying about crime stats. The entire Biden administration is a mirage. Now, as we look at this, let me go to this article here. And if you happen to be on the video, you can see the article. I've got the screen bloated up here. But the FBI caught lying about crime stats. The entire Biden administration is a mirage. Charting the snowball effect of the FBI's decision on crime statistics exposed yet another disaster that proved the entire Biden administration is a mirage. Linguistic loopholes and surreptitious statistics have been a mainstay of the Biden administration to fuel rosy impressions of crises in also the economy, at the border and abroad. Gathering the fruits of the sullied seed of criminality across the country proved just how desperate the FBI's reporting has become. And it's sad that the FBI felt a need to omit or jack up statistics to try again to make the Bidens look better. So I think it's pretty obvious because the FBI has been busted lying about crime statistics, said one of the social media user that's more blunt. That's the MU Truth Ultra. And it's now, this is what's on a lot of people's social network right now. Is it any wonder when Donald Trump became president, the FBI was complicit in the Russia scandal? Now, we now know, because it was proven in a federal court of law, that the Clinton Foundation paid for the dossier. Okay? Not only did they pay for it, the actors that were all involved were fictitious. They had John McCain, I call him John McShane, Mr. Thumbs Downer, take it from the Republican side and walk it over to the FBI office to give it a bipartisan agreement that Trump was a bad guy. And so James Comey at the time took the report, took his Mitt Romneys and his McShamers and brought in the Pelosi's and the Trump haters. And they were saying, hey, we'll just get him impeached. We'll get him thrown out, and then we'll put our stooge Mike Pence in. Well, it didn't work, because truth just kept coming out. Even after all the different things they did to Trump, the 2 fake impeachment attempts, etc. Ended up, Comey gets fired. Christopher Wray, who has been to me, a dismal replacement. I don't think he's any better. But the thing about James Comey that I think is very interesting, a lot of folks overlooked, was that he was a registered communist in college. How did he get to be the director of the FBI? You got to start just thinking and looking through some of these facts, and try not to be a Democrat, a Republican. I know, just be an American and look at this. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, I think you would have to agree Donald Trump was put on a situation where his presidency was interfered and interrupted with by the FBI. So I'd like to share with you now, the BBC has U.S. crime. Is America seeing a surge in violence? Well, I think we are. The violent crime is going up, and even though the FBI has tried to tweak the statistics, the fall in violent crime was driven mainly by they cherry-picked some cities. They did not look at all the cities. U.S. murders, for instance, were up 100,000 people, but they tried to act like it was down. So if you go murders in Chicago, for instance, they went down a little bit in 2022, but they peaked 2020, 2021, and what you don't have here is 2023 and 2024. They were up again. So what's the deal? Well, here's what we're finding out. Thousands of police agencies stopped reporting crime to the FBI for various reasons. Check this out.
Charged with killing the couple in December of 2017.
But Newsy has discovered thousands of America's police agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents into the nation's premier crime database. America's police agencies have for now stopped. 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 Agencies have for now. Agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents into the nation's premier crime database, the Uniform Crime Report, and it's hampering efforts to understand why the murders are up.
That's going to be harmful in crafting effective policies to reduce violence.
Josh Sugarman runs the Violence Policy Center, and he depends on the normally very complete FBI crime data to make policy suggestions to curb gun violence.
Bingo! See, if they can get certain cities, say like Chicago, Illinois, maybe somewhere like New York City, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, some of these big cities that are run by the Democrats, if we can temper down, it would help in their getting favorable legislation. Savvy? When they want to, they're jacking up crime during a Republican candidacy, but when a Democrat's in office, what they're finding out through this report is they're not reporting all the crime. Now, understand this. Most police chiefs answer to a mayor. That's why so many folks feel that the sheriff is the one true person. It's a shame that more sheriffs don't issue the reports other than a police chief, because most police chiefs are puppets these days. They're told to stand down while their cities are being burnt to the ground by an Antifa or a Black Lives Matter group. Or even go back to the KKK times. But then, if just an average Joe Blow breaks some, man, you go to jail. And so there's a concern about justice and equal law there. So just something for you to consider. But let's see how we're doing on the time. For instance, there's two mothers missing right now, and this is not crime's not going down; it's going up.
When it comes to missing persons whom police consider endangered and potentially victims of foul play, no news is not good news. But here we are, almost one full week since these two, Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, set out from rural Kansas just to pick up Veronica's kids. They were in Eva, Oklahoma. And you know what? It was not far from the state line. They just needed to make it there, but something happened on the way. The women's car turned up on the side of the road in the Panhandle, just about 3 miles short of their destination. The women themselves have not been seen since, but there was something in that car. Something that shot red flags a mile high over those grassy plains. So why won't the investigators say what that something was? Today in the women's hometown of Hugoton, Kansas, a public outpouring of concern. People gathering just to pray and just to be together as a...
One of them's a pastor's wife. And there's a lot of discussion, but my point is, how does two women... Now someone tries to say, oh, they were probably hooking up with somebody. Why go to the darkest, deepest of acting like it's the women's fault? You're telling me two women went to pick up their kids at school, all of a sudden said, hey, let's go meet some guys. I don't think so. I believe these women were abducted, and I believe they're being held against their will. And again, once again, the crime is being massaged by a lot of the liberal media, placing doubt, like you heard this lady, there was something in the car, but they won't tell us what it is. Bottom line, two women have been abducted and taken from their children and their family. And again, one's a pastor's wife. So you've got to ask yourself, why has crime been so massaged? Is it to try to make the Bidens look better? And it appears that's the goal. I don't know. But there seems to be a desire to make things happen to make sure that, hey, you don't want to make, Joe Biden look bad. Hey, it's not to make Joe Biden look bad. It's just to tell the truth. So FBI, they need to try to come clean a little bit here. Not all FBI are bad, but there's people in the upper levels I think we've all got concerns with that will do whatever they feel for their agenda. Don't forget the two lovers that were having Peter Strzok and the lady. They got the text messages and they never showed us the rest. You want to talk about hidden information? Why there was so much interaction saying that there's no way Trump can win, but if he does, they had a contingency plan. You remember that? Well, obviously the contingency plan was the dossier. But still, even though it was proven in a court of law, in a federal court of law, nobody went to jail. Nobody got arrested. Yet, Donald Trump has been indicted and run through the ringer. And you got to ask yourself, when will the people of America say, hey, enough? And they may be saying that in 2024. More and more people are coming to the idea that we might be getting lied to, and there might be a concern. So I think that's the future that a lot of us are going to be saying, hey, there's got to be something that I think a lot of folks are saying, hey, that's just not right. And I'll go back to this to remind you again, the crimes report is not being truthfully reported.
Heidi was shot and killed.
Charged with killing the couple in December of 2017.
But Newsy has discovered thousands of America's police agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents.
Thousands. Did you catch? It didn't say hundreds, it didn't say a few, it said thousands.
December of 2017.
But Newsy has discovered thousands of America's police agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents into the nation's premier crime database, the Uniform Crime Report.
The Uniform Crime Report. Thousands. I'll be back. This is Macil Duncan. If you'd like to help us feed the hungry, you can go online today at www.appletonbaptist.com. That's appletonbaptist.com and help us feed the hungry. We're feeding right at 3,000 people or more a month, one time. We do that by giving out food at our food pantry, but also going downtown to the tent cities and a lot of veterans and homeless people. So again, help us feed the hungry at www.appletonbaptist.com.
Attention business owners, have you already filed for your employer retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. That's 800-932-3721.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
Did you just parachute in from another planet, Mr. Secretary? Because you're the only person in the Milky Way who believes that we're not having massive illegal immigration into America.
Senator, you're putting words into my mouth.
No, sir, I'm accurately describing the situation.
There is no question. There is no question that we have a very serious challenge at our southern border.
Okay.
It is a challenge.
We can agree on that. I fear, though, that Senate Democrats are going to try to take the articles of impeachment that our colleagues in the United States House of Representatives thoughtfully crafted and passed with a majority vote and toss them into the trash without hearing from either side.
Yes, definitely.
They don't want to let the House impeachment managers make their case. They don't want to let Secretary Mayorkas make his case. They just want to ignore the House's evidence, summarily sweep it under the rug and move on, and that is wrong.
So the bottom line is the border. Mayorkas is being impeached by the Congress GOP, but Senator Kennedy saying more than likely, once it's passed up, Schumer's not going to touch it. since he has the majority, just like Mitch McConnell would not touch the Supreme Court nomination of our current Attorney General, Merrick Garland. It's just that's how they do. They play politics. They do what's best for their party and their guy in office. Okay. Now you may say I don't agree with that, but that's just a fact, Jack. So you got Mayorkas being impeached by the Republicans, and because of the border crisis. And what is so sad was that there was a time that they believed in a secure border. At least their mouths moved and said it. This was Bill Clinton in 1995, his State of the Union, and he sounds a lot like Donald Trump today. Listen to Bill Clinton.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. 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 That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards. A record number of new border guards. A record number of new border guards. By deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. Deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. Deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. Deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. By cracking down on illegal hiring. By barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
That's Bill Clinton. I was a Democrat. That's not what they're saying today. They're saying today, open up the borders wide, because you need to understand the strategy behind the Democrats. What they're doing, in case you don't know, let me explain it to you. When they let tons of people through, like then a census is taken, and since it's under Joe Biden's administration, they can kind of shabam-bam the rules. What's happening is, especially in the blue states, California, they're going to include non-citizens in the census because they're getting federal funding. Savvy? Are you listening? Listen to this. The reason they're giving them federal funds is not to be good people. It's so that they can count them in the census. Savvy? So when they count them in the census, they can then count them when it comes to congressional disbursement seats, so they can control the House, control the money, and control whoever's in D.C. Have I helped you understand what's going on? The wide open border is not out of compassion. It's for control. What they want to do is try to flood especially blue states and their sanctuary cities so they can give these folks federal funds so they can count these folks. And then what will happen is, because Biden's president now, they're going to do a census, and it's going to affect Trump's midterm. In Trump's midterm election, what's going to happen is they're going to affect the landscape, and there'll be a readjustment once again of the voter maps, and there'll be more and more seats available in the blue states. That's why I'm telling you, Donald Trump, I hope he wins in 2024, but he's only going to have 2 years. I've said this before, because as Donald Trump comes into office, he'll probably come in with a red wave. I predict he'll get the House and the Congress. I personally do. I think he'll come in strong. What's going to happen, though, when they do the redisbursements because of the open border, even if he deports, even if he shuts down the border, the data's there. Savvy? And then they're going to redistribute the seats. And what will happen is because the census was done under Biden. It will affect Trump's midterms because there'll be more seats available in the blue states, especially California, the way they jack up their elections now. It's going to be very hard for Trump to win midterm. Savvy? So I tell you that so you'll be mindful and be thinking. We need to pray. Maybe somehow, some way, they can find a legal loophole to this. But that's why some people say, why do we give them federal funding? Why are we giving them food that's meant for Americans and benefits? It's because for every American, every person, human being that has a pulse that receives federal funding, citizen or non-citizen, or transitioning to be a citizen, you're counted in the federal voting census. So, just thought I'd mention that. Because, see, back when Clinton said this in 95, they had a strong grasp on the minority votes. They don't now. But they had a strong grasp. See, like Charles Barkley said, it's time to come off the plantation. A lot of African Americans just voted Democrat because that's the way they always were taught. But then you have the Candace and the different ones that have come alive. Jason Whitlock, who said he's never voted before, that's going to vote. A lot of influential people of color are waking up and saying, listen, the Democrats are not our friends. The new movement, Blacks for Trumps, etc. So what's happening, they're saying, hey, we're losing the black vote. Even Carville, James Carville, it's the economy, stupid. You remember, he was Clinton's campaign manager. He has said we're losing the ethnics. We're losing the especially the young black and Hispanic males. They're also losing in Asian Americans. The only thing that the Democrats are still up, no, they're still up in the African American vote overall, but they've lost so much it's going to hurt the election. The other folks that they are losing, or they're with right now, is the Arab Americans who hate Israel. That's why you see all of a sudden Biden changing his policy to sound like he's not in the best relationship with Netanyahu in Israel. It goes back to votes. But here's the thing. The Jewish population has always about 85% voted for Democrats. Many feel that's going to change in 2024. There's probably going to be a protest vote, possibly for Kennedy. Majority of Jews, I don't understand why, vote Democrat. But the Jewish community is upset with Biden. So it brings you to ask yourself, and we'll talk about this later in the show, is there a secret pact between Robert Kennedy and Trump? Because Kennedy's killing Biden. In recent favorability polls and likability, different things, Kennedy is killing it. And I predict in 2028, if he's still breathing, the Democrats might want to coalesce around Robert Kennedy and let him create a new Democratic Party, because he's got the likability of the moderates. Now he's too far left for me, but he's a whole lot more likable than a Joe Biden. So this coming up border thing has got a lot of folks upset, to a point that a lot of folks are still holding Speaker Johnson to this kind of statement he made when he was in the news. Do you guys remember this?
I'll just tell you that any national security package has to begin with the security of our own border. That's what the American people deserve. I'll just tell you that any national security package has to begin with the security of our own border. Security package has to begin with the security of our own border.
Well, he's kind of went back on that, and now Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for his impeachment.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is not backing down on her threats to unseat House Speaker Mike Johnson. This morning, she sent a letter to her Republican colleagues trying to build support for ousting him. In the letter, Greene accused Johnson of failing to deliver on promises and breaking legislative procedural rules. This comes just one day after a town hall.
If I had it my way, we would have impeached him a long time ago. Actually, if I had it my way, we would have been successful in our objection on January 6th, and he wouldn't even be president.
So she was talking about the impeachment of Biden, not Speaker of the House, on that statement. See how they play the... excited to be back. This is Macil Duncan. My new book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Lifeway Books, Thrifty, wherever you get your online material. Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Don't forget my radio show is every day, 3 to 6 p.m. on the Street Level America and U.S. Radio Today Heartbeat. We're in 32 states and multiple countries, and thanks so much. Move Your Mountains by Macil Duncan.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
This is Macil Duncan. If you'd like to help us feed the hungry, you can go online today at www.appletonbaptist.com. That's appletonbaptist.com and help us feed the hungry. We're feeding right at 3,000 people or more a month, one time. We do that by giving out food at our food pantry, but also going downtown to the tent cities and a lot of veterans and homeless people. So again, help us feed the hungry at www.appletonbaptist.com.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employee retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Welcome back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan. I am the Patriot Pastor, broadcasting live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I want to give you a shout out to my good friend Ronnie Tullis in Memphis, Tennessee. Ronnie Tullis is one of the breath of fresh air. Memphis has pretty much gone the way of the world, and outside of Todd Starnes and Ronnie Tullis, I don't know much good in Memphis. There's some good churches, don't get me wrong, but Ronnie Tullis, he's a great guy. He has a ministry downtown. He helps take care of a lot of homeless kids or fatherless kids. He has a athletic program, Bible study program. He feeds the hungry. And if you're looking to make a donation, you live out on the western side of Tennessee, look at Ronnie Tullis Evangelistic Association, P.O. Box 225, Ellendale, Tennessee 38029. That's Ronnie Tullis Evangelistic Association, P.O. Box 225, Ellendale, Tennessee 38029. Tell him the Patriot Pastor sent you. He's a good friend of mine. We went to seminary together, and godly guy. By the way, he's a Cajun. You ought to hear him talk. That's worth the phone call alone, just to hear Ronnie talk. It's hilarious but passionate. Well, 19 retired generals, admirals, and former top defense officials file Supreme Court brief against Trump's immunity bid. Check this out. So a lot of you saying the military's in charge. 17 community, check this out. This is tough. Okay? They're going against Trump's immunity bid, claiming Trump acts threatens national security. Now, here's the list. I'm almost betting silly millies on it, okay? 19 retired generals, admirals, and former top civilian defense officials. I wonder if the Cheneys, because that's how Dick Cheney made his money and his daughter Liz out in Wyoming with the contract with the bomb people, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence. Just doing it. Anyway, let's see. 19 retired generals, admirals. That sounds so degrading, does it not? And former top civilian defense officials have filed a brief with the U.S. Supreme Court opposing former President Donald Trump's plea for immunity from prosecution, claiming that granting such a request could pose a significant threat to national security. The Supreme Court is set to deliberate on Trump's presidential immunity argument on April 25th, as reported by the Gateway Pundit. The Supreme Court will deliberate on whether a president can be shielded from legal consequences for actions taken while in office. The decision may have or may not arrive until late June, according to an analysis, and has significant repercussions for the timeline of Special Counsel Jackie DeSmith and his case against Trump, potentially being delayed the trial start until after the 2024 election. Now, what's being talked about in the Q community, and I don't try to make fun of them or make light of them. I understand some of them greatly. I just don't believe everything they believe. But I do believe something's unusual. And like I've said before, the 6 months after the election that D.C. was locked down, there was no live reporting. There was no choppers flying over. I mean, now, if they can go catch Hamas, okay, wind sailing and shooting down innocent people over in Israel on October 7th, how come they couldn't drop somebody inside of D.C. and give us a freaking live report? What was going on? Why did they shut down the Supreme Court, the White House, the Congress, etc., and put fencing up, and you could only get in and out with photo IDs for 6 months, mind you? 30,000 to 40,000 troops in D.C. Whether you buy into all the cleansing that was supposed to be going on, the tunnels and etc., the thing they can't explain is why they shut it down, and they still yet today given us any explanation. It leads credence to there's something that's going on. Now, following the Q theory and the folks of that mindset, they believe Donald Trump is going through these trials to set a precedent for the American conscience and mind, so that when supposedly other presidents, like maybe Clinton, Biden, and Clinton, Biden, Obama, go supposedly through trials, maybe even at Gitmo or somewhere. Now, the Q people believe they've already been tried, found guilty, and it's on video, and we'll be shown this to the world. Don't know. I'm just trying to tell you what is out there. You grasp what you think to be true. Do your own research, okay? But just make sure you don't just take some guy's opinion because he's sitting on a couch drinking some soda, okay? Be a little more credible than that. But they're going to a high level to the Supreme Court. This is going to be a huge decision, because if this goes the way of Jack Smith and the Democrats, any president from Trump and thereafter can be prosecuted. Now, let's say he does a drone strike and an innocent person's killed. His immunity's gone. He can be charged for murder because being the president and the chief of... So it's going to make presidents less likely, and this may be their goal. Because don't forget, the Bible talks about an Antichrist is going to come in. If you weaken the authority of the president and he's not able to be their true commander-in-chief, you could make him or handcuff him to a point to where he's afraid to make decisions. He's going, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in jail, so I may have to let things go. I may not address certain situations that maybe he would have addressed. But on the flip side, you're saying, yeah, but you've got some that do some some dicey things. There's a movie out called The Beehive with Jason, I can't think of his last name, the karate guy. And it's a new secret agency that the CIA didn't even know about. And the guy, the Beehive guy, goes and rights all wrongs and puts justice back in place. You know, it's kind of like an American Rambo, a new story, if you will. Don't know. People, you would love to believe there's an agency or something out there that could fix things. But I believe this country has good conscience. I believe there's enough good moral people left. I personally do. It's that if we could get past those that control the system. I believe elections, we have enough technology. There's no doubt if they wanted to, we could have elections using our smartphones. They can, if they know how to make sure the things they make sure of using your smartphone for your ID security, they could do a voting security, and you wouldn't have to go to. You could sit at your desk and do your vote, have a holiday or at your home, and you could vote. They have ways that they do. They don't want a secure election. They want the propaganda. They want you doubting every election from 2000 on, since the hanging chads till now, has been disputed. And it's to get you thinking your vote doesn't count so that you won't go vote. If they get you doubting your constitutional right and privilege to go vote, and you start saying, well, so-and-so's going to win anyway. Or on the flip side, oh, Trump's leading all the polls. You're thinking, well, I don't need to vote. He's going to win anyway. You better be careful. You better be careful. Don't take anything for granted. Everyone, liberal, moderate, or conservative, should vote. I would love to see 75%. Right now, I believe it said only 38%, 35 to 38% of those eligible to vote. Did you know that? That's not even 50%. Wouldn't it be great? What if 75% of Americans said, I'm going to vote. I am going to choose who I want to be in office. And if they could validate 75% of folks voting, because I think it's hard for many folks to believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes, especially when he was hiding in the basement. He wasn't really out doing anything. If there's an election that came across sketchy, you've got to admit the 2020 election was very sketch. Coming off a pandemic, them using the scare tactics or all this absentee balloting, it's very sketch. If you watched 2,000 Mules, I've watched it, some other documentaries, but I digress. The point is they're going after Donald Trump for a reason. And they have these generals and these supposed civil leaders, and the 3-judge panel of the D.C. Circuit of Appeals, consisting of Judge Florence Pam, Michelle Childs, and Karen Henderson, emphasized the importance of allowing the prosecution to move forward, citing the public interest and structure of government. So these D.C. court appointees were from Biden and George Bush. Are you surprised? So in 234 years of American history, no president ever faced criminal prosecution for his official acts. Until 19 days ago, no court has ever addressed whether immunity for such prosecution exists. Trump lawyers wrote this in reporting to CBS News. So in 234 years, no president has ever gone through what Trump's going through. On Monday, a group of retired military officers, including former 4-star generals and admirals, as well as past secretaries of the United States military, supposedly signed this letter. Do you remember when they said they had 51 intelligence officers that signed that other letter and it turned out to be false? Don't be surprised if some of this is. But it's a 38-page brief, which includes signatures from officials who have served under both Democrat and Republican administrations, yada, yada, yada. So among the signatures include Ray Mabus, former Secretary of the Navy, retired Air Force General Michael Hayden, also served as CIA Director. Oh, that's really a valid person. Retired General George Casey, Peter Sherrill, John Jumper, General Craig, General Charles Ward, Blah, 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 blah. Hey, there's a Swift. I wonder if General Swift is related to Taylor.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
This is Macil Duncan. My new book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Lifeway Books, Thrifty, wherever you get your online material. Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Don't forget my radio show is every day, 3 to 6 p.m. on the Street Level America and U.S. Radio Today Heartbeat. We're in 32 states and multiple countries, and thanks so much. Move Your Mountains by Macil Duncan.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
The Secret Service was investigating the shocking discovery of cocaine just steps from the Oval Office. Conservative media is pointing the finger at the president's troubled son, Hunter.
This was all unfolding in between visits from the president's son, Hunter, a recovering drug addict. You can tour the White House.
The YouTube, all my stuff on Biden has been getting
President's son, Hunter,
a little bit interfered with. We'll see what continues.
a recovering drug addict. You can tour the White House.
They're not letting you finish the song. Isn't that interesting? They've interfered with 4 videos now that are disparaging to the Biden administration. Go figure. Interesting, is it not? But that's okay. We'll rock on. When you look at the anti-Trump Republican, they launched in Nebraska a campaign trying to, against the potential electoral college. I don't know if you heard about this change. A group of anti-Trump Republicans in Nebraska announced an ad blitz Monday against a potential change in the state's electoral college votes, which could net the former president an additional electoral vote if passed. Okay, it's just one vote, but they're acting crazy. The Republican rhinos are going nuts. The effort to change Nebraska from a split district to a winner-take-all state for electoral votes is backed by Trump, Nebraska Governor Jim Pilot, who's a Republican, Senator Pete Ricketts, who's a Republican there in Nebraska, and it failed a key vote in the state's something legislature last week, though the issue could still be pursued in a special session later this year. So the vote went, and it fell by a very small margin. So there is an anti-Trump Republican launch in Nebraska, the Cornhuskers. Who would have thought? So why are they're just such an anti-Trump? Well, Frank Luntz goes on to say this is a mistake and they need to stop it.
Frank, the politics of this. Folks in the Biden campaign are already starting to refer to Donald Trump as broke Don, which is interesting. And then
Now, this was prior to the New York trial where Trump got a favorable appeal. But this was when they were all counting their hats. They just knew that Trump Tower was going to be padlocked and they were going to seize his property. Do you remember all that? Then all of a sudden a boat hits a bridge the next day and we all forgot. Okay, check this out.
there is the possibility that the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, would have to start or would start seizing assets, maybe even buildings. How do you think that would play?
I want you to remember this moment, and don't forget it. If the New York Attorney General starts to take his homes away, starts to seize his assets, it's all going to be on camera. Pundits are going to sit there and scream about this. This man cannot be elected. You're going to create the greatest victimhood of 2024, and you're going to elect Donald Trump. If they take his stuff, he's going to say that this is proof that the federal government and the establishment and the swamp in Washington and all the politicians across the country and the attorneys generals and all of this, that this is a conspiracy to deny him the presidency. He's going to go up in the polls just like he went up every single time they indicted him. The indictment, let's not talk about whether it's justified or not, but it will prove the things that he's saying on the campaign trail, and he will go up, and it may just elect him president. Do not forget that. And I say this to the Attorney General right now. If you play politics on this, this is what the secretaries of state did in Colorado and what they did in, I believe, is Maine. His numbers went up in both states. I don't understand. I'm almost speechless in how pathetic the opposition to Trump has been. And
So that's Frank Luntz. And as he's saying that, you see the shock on the other CNN analysis, like school children that just got scolded for stealing something. They're agreeing with him with their eyes, but their facial expression is priceless. You should go watch the clip. So what's going on? You got all these rhinos. You got a lot of folks trying to stop Trump. Well, you got to ask yourself, who is what some of these people are. Let's do a deep dive into Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell from Kentucky. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Mitchie has a unique background. Mitch McConnell, let's just say his recent stand, this is going to show you what a hypocrite he is, on the TikTok crackdown. Okay, one of Beijing's favorite tools. Okay. Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who has been passing out and looking like he's dead man walking, okay, called on Congress to pass a bill that would ban TikTok unless social media platforms' Chinese owners diversified it. The Kentucky Republican pushed the bill's passage in the upper chamber during a floor speech on Monday. The litigation passed the House last month, and the board support inside both parties with a final vote of 352 in favor and 65 against. So how come all of a sudden there's kumbaya up in D.C.? They can't get along when it comes to other issues, but boy, they all want to come together and ban TikTok. Well, when you read the bill, it doesn't just ban TikTok. It gives the president authority to all social media sites can now be controlled through the federal government. Savvy? Mitch McConnell's not our friend. He is not our friend. Mitch McConnell's no friend of conservatives. And this is what he says, according to Axios. America's greatest strategic rival is threatening our security right on U.S. soil and tens of millions of American homes, McConnell said, according to Axios. I'm speaking, of course, of TikTok. This is a matter that deserves congressional urgent attention, he continued, and I'll support common sense bipartisan steps to take on Beijing's favorite tool of coercion and espionage off the table. Well, Mitch, that's awful nice, but you kind of married into Chinese royalty. If you go to the Federalist, they've got an article, Trump is right, Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chao spent decades getting rich in China and on China. Those of you watching, that's a picture of his wife there. She was born in China, Chinese citizen. Her sister is an executive VP on the Bank of China. She had another sister that died in a car wreck, but the Chao family is very wealthy. For years, McConnell and the Chao families have cultivated a relationship that enriches the couple and grants status of the Chao's shipping company. For decades, Senator Mitch McConnell, leader, of course, in the Senate, and his wife Elaine Chao have maintained a glaring conflict of interest, conducting extensive government businesses despite the Chao family deep ties to China through the maritime shipping company. Now former President Donald Trump is calling attention to the top Republicans' problematic China ties, while most of Washington remains silent. Why do Republican senators allow a broken-down hack politician, Mitch McConnell, to openly disparage hard-working Republican candidates for the Senate? Trump asked in a Truth Social post on Sunday. This is such an affront to honor and to leadership. He should spend more time and money helping them get elected and less time helping his crazy wife and family get rich on China. It didn't take long for the corporate media to mock Trump's assertion, etc. And some of the outlets such as Vanity Fair even hinted that Trump's comments were revenge against Chao for resigning from the Trump administration following the 2021 Capitol riot and subsequently cooperating with the illegitimate January 6th committee. Did you all know that? That Donald Trump, now understand, when he became president in 2016, the mistake he made, but I can understand why, he tried to build a bridge with the fellow GOPers. He allowed them to pick his VP, which was Mike Pence, which proved out to be a very treasonous person. Don't forget, it was Mike Pence that fired Mike Flynn, who was Donald Trump's original choice for vice president. I don't know if you knew that. He liked the General Mike Flynn. But because he was a former Democrat, Republicans have a tough time allowing a Democrat unless they've, got all the vetting that they agree to. So then you had Bill Barr. Look at all the people, Sessions, all the folks he allowed in his administration that turned around to be pretty much disastrous for him. And one was Mitch McConnell's wife, who turned on him in the 11th hour, right there during the January 6th supposed riot. It's amazing. For 4 hours, 4 hours at best. It was really closer to 3, but say 4 hours. There was conflict there. What happened to the day and night occupation in Oregon? They called it the Summer of Love, burning, and there's just no comparison. But the media and the Democrats want you to focus on 4 hours. Okay? But McConnell's wife, who was a part of Trump's administration, that's where Trump was trying to get along. I don't think if he wins in 2024, those days are over. That's why they're afraid. He's not going to let any of them sneak in his administration and become spies. He is going to clean up Dodge. I really believe that. So, blood is thicker than water. It goes on to say, let me scoot on down. Schwarzenegger documented on his 2018 book, Secret Empires, How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends. McConnell took a strong stance against China before his marriage into the Chao family. According to Switzer, it was a 1994 trip arranged by James Chao, McConnell's new father-in-law, and sponsored by China State Shipping Building, and one of CCP's largest military contractors, and reportedly an unofficial arm of the CCP Navy, to meet with Chinese president and push McConnell to increasingly avoid public criticism of China. That's likely because Chow and her family are well connected to the Communist Chinese and the CCP party. And thanks to her father's company, they have become very wealthy. Foremost, technically based out of New York, but largely operates out of China, where at least 70% of its freight, mostly industrial, is delivered. Not only are a majority of Foremost ships built in the state-owned shipyards, but are even financed by the Chinese Communist Party. Now, if you didn't know this, former Speaker of the House Boheimer and several other GOP are now lobbyists for the CCP, thanks to Mitch McConnell. He got a lot of the rhinos jobs, and they're now lobbyists for the CCP, helping them navigate things to their favor, such as laws. When a law's being discussed, and you see all that pork and all that stuff added to and you wonder, why is a bill, like 9,000 pages? Well, it's because you get these guys to go in and call in favors and say, hey, bud, why don't you do this? Help out my pal down here at the Chinese, the CCP. It might surprise you. Do a search. Go to DuckDuckGo. Don't use Google. DuckDuckGo or Brave, and put in GOP members that are now, basically helping out the China, the CCP, and that's lobbyists. Lobbyists for the CCP. Former GOP members that are lobbyists for the CCP. It'll blow you away. I'll tell you something else to have some fun with. Again, don't use Google. Use another search engine and put in how many congressmen and senators have dual citizenship. I think that should be illegal. But the reason they do that is so they can say, I'm an Israeli today and my finances are under this. They have dual citizenship, and some have it with China, some have it with Israel, a few with France and different countries. Why do they need a dual citizenship? And most of them get the dual citizenship after they've had a term or two in Congress. Why? Why not just be a freaking proud American? Got to ask yourself. So that's where we're at with that. Let's scoot on to the next topic real quick. There's a secret deal between Trump and RFK Jr. This is hilarious. This is the hand Trump the White House. Is there a secret deal? Now, Stinchfield, I like this guy. I'm going to play just a minute of his thing and see what you think, okay?
Podcast. Hey, is there a deal between Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and President Trump to literally hand President Trump the White House, take it away from Joe Biden? There may be a deal in place, because as I'm looking at RFK Jr.'s decisions as he moves through this unwinnable campaign that he's running, all of it helps President Trump, which is why I think you may see a spot in the Trump administration for RFK Jr. because of his ability to steal votes away from Joe Biden.
It's going to be interesting. Now, Robert F. Kennedy potentially become the next president. I don't see it. I know some others do. They have high hopes because they must be Tennessee fans. Every Tennessee fan thinks we're going to win the national championship every year. But here's a guy, and he explains: can Kennedy actually become the next president?
I'm not going to talk about either of those two guys. I'm going to be talking about the third candidate in the United States, and that's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the son of the former U.S. Senator who was running for president himself when he was assassinated in 1968. Robert Kennedy, because of his name recognition, has a relatively large amount of support from Americans. And because of his politics, at least originally, it was thought that he pulled almost equally both from Republicans and Democrats. Over the last week, Kennedy announced his vice presidential pick. And if he was really going to be a force in this election, I think he would have found some way to choose someone who was a traditional politician. But instead, he chose a woman, Nicole Shanahan, who is the ex-wife of Sergey Brin, one of the co-founders of Google. So he has this activist woman who was married to a tremendously wealthy person as the running mate. I don't think that's going to help much to draw voters away from Donald Trump. I don't think it's a good pick in terms of elevating his percentage, so he will not get a large amount of votes. And I think now, as it's going, his poll will be skewed towards people who simply aren't voting for Joe Biden because they think, well, Biden is too old to be president. And
so that's what many think. He intentionally looks like he's helping Donald Trump, because you got to admit, now Tulsi Gabbard went on the record and said he did approach her and she turned him down. So evidently Kennedy has approached other people possibly, and maybe this lady accepted. Now the lady he did pick, formerly the Google founder spouse, she paid for his Super Bowl ad, which is over $4 million. So she's already opened the checkbook up for him. So, but she's yet to make a public statement. Don't you find that interesting? But here is Kennedy again. Now check out this. He keeps making these statements with some kind of biblical. I think he's going to pull some people of faith with these statements like this.
Remember when I got out of the rehab, I read a line from Isaiah that said, "Be still and know that I am God." And that had a huge impact on me, of learning to be still is so much, because my life before was, including drugs, it's about, feeling discomfort and then having to fix it somehow. And, growing up is about learning to live with this discomfort and just experience it like dark clouds on the horizon, that it's going to come through, and that you just have to experience it and let it keep flowing, and there's nothing to do about it. And learning that, learning to be still, learning to be indifferent to pain, learning to be indifferent to pleasure, to desire. Those should be ultimately the ambition of an enlightened, of a spiritual enlightenment.
So he kind of got a little spiritual there. Well, James Carville, Biden can't replicate 2020 coalition. The non-white male detachment is significant problem. Okay, this again, James Carville, it's the economy, stupid. He was Clinton's campaign manager. Democratic strategist James Carville warned on Monday that President Biden would not replicate the coalition he had in 2020 for his 2024 campaign. He cites that the president's lack of support among young white voters. Thus is why he keeps trying to forgive debt. He keeps trying to buy votes with them. I do think that the polling has gotten a little better, Carville told MSNBC, but we're not going to replicate the 2020 coalition. Most people think we're going to lose Hispanic males, young black males, and have been so disengaged from this process, and it's happened rapidly. And there's great concern for me. So James Carville, he's come out and made video statements and said he's concerned that Biden will lose in 2024. So you got to ask yourself that. Well, the Daily Wire put out that RFK Jr. isn't Biden who has to worry. Okay? He said it's Biden who has to worry, not Trump. The general rule of politics, whichever candidate is complaining about the third party is usually losing. Have you noticed Trump has not said one negative thing about Kennedy hardly? I don't think he said anything. But Biden and the Democratic Party keep on. Well, they wouldn't be fussing about this guy if he wasn't making a difference or turning some heads. Now, the sad thing is the Kennedys had an Easter picture made at the White House with the Biden family, and all the family siblings were invited but Robert F. Kennedy. Now, that is a slap in the face, and it was Robert F. Kennedy's sister that and told him not to come. Okay, they took a family picture of the Kennedys with Jill and Joe Biden at the White House on Easter, but uninvited their brother who's running against him. So that tells you they're pulling all the strings within the family and outside and inside the party. So RFK Jr. continues to poll shockingly well for a third-party candidate. He is in the high single digits or low double digits. Those are really good numbers for a third-party candidate. Now I remind you, Ross Perot, who played the spoiler for Bush and help Bill Clinton get elected. I believe he was right at 11, maybe 12% the first election. When he tried to run a second time, he didn't get double digit. He was 8 or 9. But that time he ran initially and got involved, it kept Bush Sr. from his second term. Of course, two other things. When he looked at his watch at the presidential debate and he said, "Read my lips, no new taxes," and then he caved and did the taxes. It's much like what Speaker Johnson's going through now when he said there'll be no funding for other countries unless we take care of our border first. And he made a compromise, and he should have remembered read my lips, because now Speaker Johnson, who has endorsed a budget to help the Ukraine without first taking care of our border, he's now become pretty much disliked by many folks that once supported him. So, and it's a sad thing because I thought he had a lot of promise. So Kennedy seems to be hurting the Biden campaign and not the Trump campaign, and you may not be too surprised with that. I know I'm not. So that's what's going on there. We got a few minutes here. Let's jump to the next story. Now, I don't know where you're at, but Sky News is pretty much, that's the Australian news. They're going after Biden and says that Biden keeps telling lies. This is the Australians calling our president a liar.
Raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a very close relationship with the Greek American community, for real. I am Joe Bidenopoulos. I grew up in a heavily Irish Catholic community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and a heavily Italian Polish community. When I say I got raised in the black church, he knows I'm not kidding. The Persian culture is amazing. As a student of the Persian culture, I probably went to shul more than many of you. I come out of the black community. The background of my family is Irish American, not fundamentally unlike the Palestinian people. I was raised on GM. I was raised by Danny Inouye. I was raised by a righteous Christian. I got raised on automobiles.
A video posted on RNC Research complied most of the U.S. President Joe Biden links. Biden's critics react to the clip on X, and they're not happy with it. So Biden, what happens when a lifetime of chronic lying meets cognitive decline? That's the RNC posting after this British clips of a montage, if you will, of Biden just lying. Now, I don't know if you think Biden tells the truth, if he has any bit of, integrity left. I think most of us doubt anything the guy says. It says Biden lies over and over about such fundamental aspects of his life that the mainstream media just has lost interest and doesn't cover it. And I think you're right. That is true. That's John R. Lott Jr. saying that. And I appreciate him doing that. Now, so much diversity in his upbringing. Sarah Rose is mocking him on Twitter because he tries to claim like he's black. President Biden has a history of aligning himself with various ethnic groups and cultures when he had absolutely no participation in those areas. That's true. You got to ask yourself, how does this guy get away with this? I don't know. I really don't. Here's another clip. Let's see. Okay. At a Greek Independence Day celebration at the White House on Thursday, he recalled his Delaware nickname, Bidenopoulos. During a Jewish New Year reception, September 2022, Biden joked about attending the shul, the synagogue, more than others. So Sky News went on a rampage of just pretty much exposing him for being someone that doesn't tell the truth. and I think that's accurate. We'll be back after the break. Do you believe that this election is over? We'll talk about it. This is Macil Duncan. If you'd like to help us feed the hungry, you can go online today at www.appletonbaptist.com. That's appletonbaptist.com and help us feed the hungry. We're feeding right at 3,000 people or more a month, one time. We do that by giving out food at our food pantry, but also going downtown to the tent cities and a lot of veterans and homeless people. So again, help us feed the hungry at www.appletonbaptist.com.
Attention business owners, have you already filed for your employer retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. That's 800-932-3721.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
Well, hello, my friends. Does anyone remember this? It was pretty hot back in 2020.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming. Film executives in the world.
Let me go back to that because it shows a clip, and I want to blow it up for those that are watching. There we go. Let's walk it all back. There we go.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming.
Ricky Gervais' Jeffrey Epstein clip goes viral after list released. I know he's your friend, but I don't care, Gervais told a stunned room of celebrities of Epstein resurfaced videos.
Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer. And it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way. So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and
get off the stage. We'll just leave it at that. So, this is Jesse Waters, primetime, talking about the FBI sitting still on troves of Epstein evidence. Why hasn't this been released?
It's been 3 years since Jeffrey Epstein's death, but details about his underage sexual blackmail ring are still under lock and key. It's one of the biggest scandals in American politics, and there's still so much we don't know. But Primetime has found new evidence buried in a trove of unsealed court documents, including victim depositions, from a defamation lawsuit against Epstein Madam Ghislaine Maxwell. This is Sarah Ransom. She met Epstein when she was a 22-year-old aspiring model trying to make it in New York. And like so many other girls, she ended up getting raped on Epstein Island.
The more he saw you being damaged, the more he enjoyed it, the more it excited him.
This area, yeah, reminds me of the evening when I tried to escape the island after I had been raped 3 times that day. You do things.
So here's a photo of the island, and this was right after she says Epstein gave her a naked massage. In a sworn deposition, Ransom described the island like a brothel with lots of teens. And Ghislaine Maxwell was tasked with having enough girls to keep up with Epstein's massive sexual appetite, telling prosecutors, quote, "When I was finished, another girl was called by Ghislaine, and when they had finished, another girl was called." Ransom also confirmed that Epstein kept videotapes of high-profile men raping underage girls as sexual blackmail. She says she saw some of those sex tapes herself, explaining, quote, "When my friend had sexual intercourse with blank and blank, sex tapes were in fact filmed on each occasion by Jeffrey." She also said Epstein was clever. He made sure he wasn't in the video, so it couldn't have been used against him. Ransom says she got her hands on one of those videos and backed it up on, those little thumb drives and sent them to different locations in Europe because she's scared someone from Epstein's inner circle still could get her. So if Sarah has the videos, the FBI has to have them too, right? Yet, the only one that's been arrested is the madam. There's all these high-profile guys on these videos, right? There's all these high-profile guys on these videos. Arrested is the madam. There's all these high-profile guys on. It is the madam. There's all these high-profile guys on. There's all these high-profile guys on. There's all these high-profile guys on. There's all these high-profile guys on the. There's all these high-profile guys on these videos, right? Committing statutory rape, right? So how come nothing's come from that? Something doesn't add up here. We know the FBI let Epstein get away with abuse for over a decade. They even used him as an informant. He helped them with a Bear Stearns investigation. So is the FBI covering for Epstein's rich and powerful friends that abused the girls? Are they blackmailing people from the tapes for more information? We can only speculate for now.
Hey, so that was Jesse Waters going after the FBI, and he believes that they are still hiding and sitting on evidence. And it's a good question to ask. How come nobody other than Ghislaine Maxwell has been exposed? It's kind of like when Robert Kraft was caught in the massage parlor at Super Bowl weekend, if you remember. And when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl down there in Tampa, and all of a sudden, all these high-profile people are caught with these underage girls. That's called sex trafficking or prostitution in most books. Well, what happened? Robert Kraft wasn't arrested, and all the girls were sent out of state. They were all gone bye-bye. Now, you can't do that without government cover-up. I've got a friend that just retired from the Homeland Security, and he told me, Macil, whenever they flew like a plane, Lolita Express, to the island, and you have a current or former president or, say, Secretary of State, let's just, for giggles and goo, let's just say it, Bill and Hillary Clinton, for instance, let's just say they were on an airplane to Epstein Island on the Lolita Express. Did you know it is protocol for the Secret Service? They have to have a name of everyone on the flight. Everyone. Even the kids. They have records, my friends. They're just choosing not to share them. One day, there will be a whistleblower, I believe, that will have the guts and the protection. And you got to ask yourself, is this why they're afraid of Donald Trump? Because if you've watched my video, I did back at the other network a couple of programs, and I went through all the folks, the sexual, I call it the sex mafia there in New York, because the Clintons, Hillary wanted to be a senator, even though they were governors. He was the governor of Arkansas. She wanted to be in New York. And that's where you saw the NXIVM sex cult go down, Lanier with Allison Mack. You saw Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, Rapper Kelly, all those folks that went down in New York. And don't forget, Donald Trump's from New York, so he knew about it. Is that coincidental? So I believe that's why New York has gone after him. That's my opinion, because they want money back. He cost them a lot of money by shutting down those sexual deals. Don't forget Anthony Weiner's laptop and the 10 policemen that committed suicide. Now, that was before Trump. New York has got sexual perversion all over it, and all the other major cities probably do as well. If you guys remember, there was a guy named P. Diddy, and he's been in the news lately.
They're going to probably be arresting me just because we want to have a good time.
Multiple safes broken into, drawers ripped open, closets ransacked, boxes of gun ammo, and Grammy Awards. New images from TMZ show inside Diddy's ransacked Beverly Hills mansion during the coast-to-coast raids where no arrests were made.
People in the home are traditionally detained during raids, so they don't flee, and so they don't destroy evidence.
The rapper's attorney calls it a witch hunt with an excessive show of force and hostility that led to a premature rush to judgment, adding Diddy will continue to fight every single day to clear his name.
They don't execute these types of search warrants until they believe they have an ironclad case.
So, where's the 54-year-old now? Unclear, but his jet that traveled to Antigua from L.A. on Monday just landed in Miami today. That's where Diddy was last seen, reportedly bound for a Caribbean spring vacation with his 2 daughters.
So Diddy is being called the new Epstein, but the bottom line is no one else's names are mentioned. So you've seen just Epstein finally went down, Harvey Weinstein went down, say Diddy goes down, but there has to be tons of more people. But it's like they're not going to bring down the whole grain. I don't know why. But I believe we're going to find out in the future. At least I hope so. If you haven't seen the movie Sound of Freedom with Jim Caviezel, you should watch Sound of Freedom. It gives you an eye-opening experience about how child sex trafficking is working globally. And it's the #1 black market item selling children. More than guns, more than drugs, selling children is the #1, and that's why sex trafficking and abortion, selling body parts from very mature fetuses, that's a big business for the liberals. They love selling the organs. And Planned Parenthood's on tape with Project Veritas. They can't take it back. It's out there, and please go listen, and you'll see they admitted to making money off selling body parts and organs. So it's a sick world, but we have to be people of hope. We'll come back and talk about a couple more things that are in the news. So don't turn the dial.
Don't get outmatched by the outdoors.
This is Macil Duncan. My new book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Lifeway Books, Thrifty, wherever you get your online material. Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Don't forget my radio show is every day, 3 to 6 p.m. on the Street Level America and U.S. Radio Today Heartbeat. We're in 32 states and multiple countries, and thanks so much. Move Your Mountains by Macil Duncan.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
This is Macil Duncan. If you'd like to help us feed the hungry, you can go online today at www.appletonbaptist.com. That's appletonbaptist.com and help us feed the hungry. We're feeding right at 3,000 people or more a month, one time. We do that by giving out food at our food pantry, but also going downtown to the tent cities and a lot of veterans and homeless people. So again, help us feed the hungry at www.appletonbaptist.com.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employer retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Soldiers of the Montana Army National Guard will head to Texas to assist Governor Abbott and Operation Lone Star. In March, I directed the Montana National Guard to work with Texas to identify meaningful ways our state could help stop the invasion at the southern border. In talks with Texas, their leadership requested a particular type of help from Montana. They have asked Montana for assistance with fleet repair and maintenance, making sure the vehicles used to secure the border and transport the men and women of the Texas National Guard are well tuned. From hurricane response to floods to fires, the soldiers and airmen of the Montana National Guard are always ready to respond to requests for support from our fellow states. And on this mission, we will be supporting Texas in their ongoing border mission, because Joe Biden has abandoned his responsibility to secure the southern border. States like Montana are turning to support Texas in their effective response to protect this country. If Joe Biden won't step up to do his job, Republican governors will. We must act to stop this cartel-fueled flow of drugs and crime coming into our communities. Thank you to our soldiers who have volunteered for this important mission. Montana is behind you. God bless you, and God bless America.
That's the governor of Montana, just dropped an hour ago on Forbes Breaking News. So Montana's governor is sending troops to the border. And there seems to be a cry about the border. This was Trump on news just a few days. He mentioned about the border. See what you think. Okay, the volume's not working on this one. It happens from time to time. Let's go to what Vivek said.
The border crisis at our southern border right now is the single greatest challenge that this country has faced since 9/11. And I don't state that lightly. You've got 10 million coming over illegally under Biden's tenure alone. If you look at broader estimates, that's closer to 20 plus million. I think the actual number is going to be well above 20 million illegals in the United States right now. And even if you assume 99% of them have no criminal intentions, that means 1% does. That's 200,000 hardened criminals roaming this country, if not more, as a consequence of those loose border policies. So the relationship between this crime wave and the border crisis, that's not a coincidence. In fact, I think that we are, I fear, laying the groundwork for even a future event, God forbid, like 9/11, until we get serious and actually do something about it, both sealing that border and deporting anybody who's in this country illegally.
Hey, don't worry, we won't tattle.
If your first act of entering this country breaks the law, it should be no surprise that many of these people continue to break the law while they're here.
And that's true. So that's Vivek the Swami. And he's got a good point there. I believe a lot of people are sensing that there is just a distrust about what's going on. And I think a lot of folks agree with this is Kennedy, because a lot of folks are sensing, why are the Democrats just allowing this to happen? Well, the Republicans have decided they're going to impeach Mayorkas, but also Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to impeach the Speaker of the House, Johnson. And this is what it's just making the Republicans look foolish going into the 2024 election. You got 5 months before a presidential election, and you're trying to impeach Mayorkas, which it's not going to happen. I mean, yeah, they may get the votes in the Congress. You're not going to get it in the Senate. I realize what they're trying to draw attention to the crazy border crisis. But this, again, is Kennedy, and it's a pretty priceless speech here. See what you think.
Did you just parachute in from another planet, Mr. Secretary? Because you're the only person in the Milky Way
What happened?
who believes that we're not having massive illegal immigration into America.
Senator, you're putting words into my mouth.
No, sir, I'm accurately describing the situation.
There is no question. There is no question that we have a very serious challenge at our southern border.
Okay.
It is a challenge.
We can agree on that. Let me ask you another question.
That's a parody site that it takes clips and adds some funny music and stuff. But Kennedy, you gotta. Can I play that again? Just what he said. Let's just skip it up there to what he said. This is just classic Kennedy. Senator Kennedy from Louisiana. This guy is classic.
Did you just parachute in from another planet, Mr. Secretary?
Did you just parachute in from another planet, Mr. Secretary? Mayorkas keeps trying to act like he knows there's a border crisis, but they're doing nothing about it. And as I explained earlier in the show, they don't want to do anything about it. This helps their cause. By giving illegal aliens federal funds and then placing them around the country allows them to jack up the census. And when they jack up the census, then they can place more, because of population, more representation for Congress. They don't have to be citizens. this poll that in this census that the Biden administration's doing will affect the midterm of the next president in 2026 would probably be Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump wins in a landslide in 2024, that's great. But the new districts will be realigned by his midterm, and it's going to make it hard on him because the Democrats are loading up the blue states and the blue cities, the sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But, yeah, I agree. I think he does come from another planet, and I like how he calls him out. That's just me. But, I just don't know. I think our country is in a mess, and the border's way too open. And as much as Trump says, hey, I'm going to deport people and I'm going to deal with it, you got to say, will the American people actually agree to that? Now, I played this earlier, but this is Bill Clinton in 1995 saying we need to clean up the border, send more guards down there, and he sounds like a Donald Trump. See what you think.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. Twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. By deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before. By cracking down on illegal hiring. By barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens.
Barring illegal benefits or federal to illegal aliens. The Democrats have changed strategy. It was very kosher in the 90s to bar federal benefits to illegal aliens. Now, no. They're saying, hey, this is how you get the district changed and flipped. So that tells you how DC's a mess. It's a mess. And for Clinton to go along with that, I mean, I think we all know that. And it just brings us to more point. But this is Schumer, and what a piece of work Schumer is.
The Congress goes back into session. I also urge Speaker Johnson and House Republicans to snap out of their paralysis and pass the Senate's National Security Supplemental. The situation in Ukraine is desperate. Speaker Johnson has now sat on his hands for 55 days as the National Security Supplemental has collected dust in the House. That's 55 days of America standing on the sidelines while our friends in Ukraine fight and die on the battlefield.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure.
With no support. 55 days of our European allies wondering when the U.S. will step up.
Yes, you sure right about that.
And with each passing day, Ukraine continues to run out of more ammo, continues to run out of soldiers, and continues to run out of hope that can successfully expel the Russians from their borders. And let's be blunt, the biggest reason Ukraine is losing the war is because the hard right in the Congress has paralyzed the United States from acting.
The hard right in the Congress. Now, here's the thing. What they're finding out is supporting Ukraine went from being a real cool thing to now a lot of folks are saying, hey, how about gas in my tank? How about a loaf of bread on my table? We're sending a whole lot of money, billions and zillions of dollars, if I think the word trillion, to another country, and we're not seeing any results. All we see is Zelensky marched around in his little military outfit now. You know, back when Trump was president, he used to wear a three-piece suit. Biden comes in and a war breaks out, and G.I. Joe Zelensky pops up. Comes out with his little camo bottoms and his little green pullover. Have you noticed every time he speaks, he has on the same freaking outfit? It's to try to give you an image of a military leader. And he was given joint access to Congress under Biden administration. He's been at award shows. They have laid out the red carpet for the little man. I mean, he's shorter than Tom Cruise. You ought to go watch the clip when Tom Cruise meets him and gushes all over him like he's met someone famous. It's really disgusting to see all that they did to help Zelensky. He's a loser, a liar, and you're going to find that out.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
This is Macil Duncan. My new book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Lifeway Books, Thrifty, wherever you get your online material. Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Don't forget my radio show is every day, 3 to 6 p.m. on the Street Level America and U.S. Radio Today Heartbeat. We're in 32 states and multiple countries, and thanks so much. Move Your Mountains by Macil Duncan.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
Chainsaw chain sharpening jig will make your chainsaw.
Well, my friends, I am back. This is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan, and the question a lot of folks have is Robert F. Kennedy making a difference? And I say that he is. Here's a little bit of Robert Kennedy as he explains the Ukraine-Russia war and how it started.
Let me just tell you kind of the lead-up, what happened in the lead-up of the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war, we were lied to because we're told, oh yeah, this evil Putin.
He said we're lied to. Check this out.
Trying to take over Europe, and this is his first step to reestablishing the Soviet Empire. And that, it's the same comic book.
And is that a lie?
Yeah, it's the same comic book description we were given of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, which we were just lied into a war. And yeah, it was a slam dunk that he had weapons of mass destruction. Of course he didn't, and he had nothing to do with terrorism. And he was running the most progressive nation in the Mideast. It was a secularized nation. It wasn't a theocracy. He wouldn't let people.
And I will agree that maybe in hindsight that was a mistake. But
all right,
Putin,
then let me tell you what happened. The real story behind what happened in Ukraine. And let me.
He's saying now this is the real story of what happened in the Ukraine. If you can't understand him, I'll just repeat from time to time just so you get this. But this is Kennedy, who has connections in D.C. This might shock you.
You go back to 1992, because 1992 the walls come down, the Berlin Wall comes down, and Gorbachev does something very courageous. He goes to to Tony Blair and George Bush, and he says, I'm going to allow you to do something that nobody in their right mind would.
I'm sorry, we didn't have that turned up. Let me just start this over just so you can catch this.
The lead up of the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war, we were lied to because we're told, oh yeah, this evil Putin trying to take over Europe, and this is his first step to reestablishing the Soviet Empire. And that, it's the same comic
And is
book.
that a lie?
Yeah, it's the same comic book description we were given of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, which we were just lied into a war. And yeah, it was a slam dunk that he had weapons of mass destruction. Of course he didn't, and he had nothing to do with terrorism. And he was running the most progressive nation in the Mideast. It was a secularized nation. It wasn't a theocracy. He wouldn't let people.
And I will agree that maybe in hindsight that was a mistake. But
all right,
Putin,
then let me tell you what happened. The real story behind what happened in Ukraine. And let me go back to 1992, because 1992 the walls come down, the Berlin Wall comes down, and Gorbachev does something very courageous. He goes to Tony Blair and George Bush, and he says, I'm going to allow you to do something that nobody in their right mind would do, which is I'm going to remove 450,000 Russian troops from East Germany, and I'm going to allow you to unify East Germany under NATO, which is a hostile army. But I want one commitment from you. You will never move NATO further to the east. James Baker, who was then Secretary of State, famously said to him, we will not move NATO 1 inch to the east. So then, 5 years later, 1997, Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was the first of the neocons, comes along and proposes, let's move NATO to right up to the Russian borders. We're into 15 nations, okay? And at that time, the most important diplomats in American history at that time were George Kennan, who was the architect of the containment policy during the Cold War. He said, if you do that, you're going to force, this is crazy, it's insane. Russia just lost the Cold War. We should be giving them a Marshall Plan and integrating them into the civilized society, the Western society. Don't make them an enemy. Don't treat them like they're still an enemy. This is going to force a violent military response from Russia if you do that. Bill Pierce, who was then the Secretary of Defense, threatened Clinton that he would resign if they went ahead with this plan because it was so reckless. And Bill Pierce is now the head of the CIA. Bill Perry, who was the U.S. ambassador to Russia at the time, said the same thing. Why are you doing this? This is crazy. So between now and then, we moved NATO into 14 countries. Why do we move NATO in? Because when you move them into a new country, they have to sign a contract that conforms all their weapons purchases to NATO specifications, which means you have to buy the weapons from Northrop Grumman, from these big U.S. military contractors who profit from war. So we move it there. In the meantime, we walk away unilaterally from 2 nuclear weapons treaties with Russia. Russia wants those treaties. They're intermediate range missile systems that, which destabilizes Europe when we remove our agreement not to fire missiles on Russia. And we put Aegis missile systems, which are nuclear capable, in Romania and Poland.
But the broad stroke, listen, you know the details, and these details are, and I'm not taking a side on this, but if there was any, which a lot of people aren't really advocates of, but Trump, if anything, kind of, and whether he was a puppet or not, whatever you believe, he kind of normalized the Russian relationship, kind of, right, by becoming somewhat of a friend of Putin's. So between that time and the time that Putin, there was no NATO movement between the time after the Trump administration.
Yeah, well, what we did is, and we overthrew the government of Ukraine. So
no, he came into Ukraine before.
We overthrew the government in 2014. USAID, which has spent $5 billion, which is a front for the CIA, which everybody acknowledges, went in there and started a revolution it's called the Maidan Rebellion, where there was these protests that ended with the overthrow of the elected government of Ukraine that wanted to keep Ukraine neutral. Yanukovych wanted to keep NATO neutral. We wanted a pro-U.S. government, so we went in there in 2014, overthrew their government, and placed a government. And by the way, a month before the overthrow, we now have tapes that you can go on the internet and listen to. Victoria Nuland, who's the head of the neocons now, the deputy director of the State Department, choosing the new Ukrainian cabinet that will be put in place after the coup that was still a month away. So she knew the coup was coming a month in advance.
But who is she to us?
She's us. She's the head of the State Department. She's now, number 3 in the State Department. But she's been in the State Department. She's one of the, she runs the neocon program, which is, continual wars. So we then pick a new government. The new government comes in, immediately begins attacking the people of Donbass and Lugansk, who are Russian-speaking ethnic Russians. They banned the Russian language, there was 2 languages that were 2 official languages. Ukraine, they banned that. Violence immediately erupts, and they kill 14. There's a civil war. This war started in 2014. There's 14,000 ethnic Russians are killed. And Putin kept saying, you're killing our people. He's trying to get a peace agreement. They finally work out a peace agreement called the Minsk Accords. Germany signs onto it, France signs onto it, England signs onto it, and Russia sign onto it. Zelensky runs in 2019 as president. He has one platform issue. He's a comedian and an actor, which I'm not.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Oh, my wife is one of those.
Okay, all right.
But he never had any political experience.
Right.
And he wins with 70% of the vote. Why? Because he runs on a peace platform. I'm going to sign the Minsk Accords. As soon as he gets in there, Victoria Nuland and the ultra-nationalists, which is a nice way of describing the people who run that government now, tell him that he can't do it. He can't sign it. So he pivots. And then Putin then says, okay, Putin is now faced with this problem. The United States government is now running the government of Ukraine. And he is frightened to death that the U.S. Navy is going to go into Vladivostok, which is, the southern port. It's been the Russian port. It's the only warm water port Russia has for 347 years. So he then goes right into Ukraine because into Crimea, and takes Crimea without firing a shot.
So that is Kennedy on the Howie Mandel show, and I went and just pulled up, by the way, in 2014, Obama's dealing with the Ukraine, and this is a federal document, Ukraine to get more U.S. aid but no weapons. Now, how Schumer never saying send more money and more weapons? Obama said no weapons. Obama refuses to budge on lethal aid despite Poroshenko's passionate plea in Congress. Why? Because Poroshenko, if you remember, was not a part of the new regime. It wasn't until they got Poroshenko out that then they started making the deals. And don't forget, also it's documented, some very high-profile politician children have gotten jobs in energy companies there in the Ukraine. Hunter Biden's the most notable, but also you had John Kerry's stepson. He married into the Heinz family, the Heinz young man. You had Pelosi son and Paul Pelosi Jr., and then you had Mitt Romney's son, okay? So those are 4 very, very high-profile children that got very prestigious jobs in the Ukraine in this period of the Obamas and their takeover. And if you remember when Biden was on the airstrip and said, hey, if you don't fire this guy before I leave, you don't get the $1 million. He says, you can't do that. He said, call Obama. And bottom line, that's what happened. So we helped overthrow the government of the Ukraine for our own personal reasons, these elites, not for mine and your benefit, but for theirs and their family enrichment. We are experiencing one of, in my opinion, the biggest money laundering schemes of all time. All the money we keep funneling into the Ukraine is making its way back into the pockets of the politicians, I believe, in our country, on both sides. FTX was one example. The FTX down in the Bahamas, if you remember, even Zelensky gave money. And on the midterms of 2022, how come on midterms all the money went missing? After it came back, now Jesse Waters and others did a lot, and then they've quit talking about it, but they did a deep dive showing how the money came back. Money was given to the Ukraine. From the Ukraine, it went to the Bahamas and FTX was the second largest donor to the Democratic Party, right behind George Soros. You remember that? And so all that money then on the midterm election day just went missing. But others tracked it through the accounts. It went back into, and some Republicans, but primarily Democratic campaigns. What was supposed to be a red wave. And this was all under Ronna McDaniel's leadership, who was related, don't forget, to Mitt Romney, who's on the list of receiving funds through the Ukraine. And I think it's interesting that MSNBC hired and then fired Ronna McDaniel. She knows where the bodies are buried. And it's going to be interesting to see if she ever spills the beans. But the thing you've got to ask yourself is, under Ronna McDaniel, like Vivek Swamy said, all elections that should have been won were lost. All the polls predicted red waves, 2018, 2020, and 2022, all were disaster defeats under Ronna McDaniel. Was she on the take? That's something to I guess in time will only tell. But you want to go check out the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. explains how the Ukraine-Russia war started on the Howie Mandel podcast. Very interesting. And Howie's eyes lit up 2 or 3 times because, he's a true lip-lock liberal from Hollywood. And he's like going, I can't believe it. But then you can go and check out, this federal document that I found. It's the Ukraine gets more U.S. aid but no weapons from Obama. This is Congress.gov. This is a congressional document that proves the Ukraine to get more U.S. aid. This is 2014 now, while Obama's president. Ukraine gets more U.S. aid but no weapons. Obama refuses to budge on lethal aid despite Poroshenko's passionate plea in Congress. Evidently, Obama did not want them to be weaponized yet and wanted them dependent on our military and our guys, evidently. So President Barack Obama stuck to his refusal to provide weapons or other lethal military gear to the Ukrainians despite a passionate appeal Thursday to help fighting pro-Russian rebels by the Ukraine president. Now, this backs up exactly what Kennedy was talking about. There was already a war going on. All Biden has done is fund this because the money laundering that's obviously going on and coming back to a lot of American politicians. The White House announced a new $53 million aid package for the Ukraine, which will include counter mortar radar, radios, vehicles, patrol boats, blah, blah, blah. This was back in Obama. Now, you got to ask yourself, the Ukraine was a big part of the Obama administration and their foreign aid. If you go back and look before he was president, Obama went and was a loan negotiator. He was a freshman congressman at that. He went to talk to the Ukraine. He had a layover in Russia. Try to prove me wrong. So this Ukraine stuff is nothing new. And then, isn't it interesting that when Donald Trump was president in 2016, the first thing they tried to label him with is some inappropriate phone calls and interaction with the Ukraine, the very thing they were doing. See, Adam Schiff and having all that supposed information they proved to be a lie makes you understand they're probably doing the same thing with January 6th. Because when the Democrats claim to have information but they can't show it to you, just trust them. Yeah, that's Santa Claus talk. No, I don't trust you. I don't believe you. You don't exist. So the thing is, Ukraine has been an issue, and it's been an issue within the politics of our government for quite some time. That's why I think, going back, I'm taking a long way around the barn, I think Kennedy, if he keeps doing these interviews, he's casting doubt because he, without mentioning Obama's name with the dates, I was able just to type in Obama's blah, blah, blah. And here I pulled up a government document, and it explains, and it's about 20 pages of the Ukraine and what we did and did not do back in the Obama administration. So Kennedy is going to be a spoiler. I predict he's going to hurt Biden badly, because I think as time goes on, more and more folks in the Democratic Party are going to get dissatisfied with Biden. Now, I do think there's always that slight chance at the Democratic convention that's coming this summer that they might change candidates. Now, Michelle Obama and not Michelle, one time in front of a big brass of admirals, and they all started laughing. So anyway, it's out. She can't run. Guys, she can't run because it'll become even more. Why do you think they're pushing the transgender in your face? Think about that. The Dylan Mulvaney, all that stuff, it was by design. They're trying to test the waters to see if America will accept a transgender president. That's just my opinion. And I think America has spoken. Heck to the no. So I think what you're going to see now is they've got a punt. They can't put Michelle Obama in. Hillary Clinton is too unfavorable. The Democrats are running out of likable candidates. Now, they had Tulsi Gabbard, and they made a mistake because she can't be controlled. Then you've got Kennedy, who leans left. He's a liberal, but they don't want to go with him. So you got to ask yourself, who are the Democrats? Who is their future? It can't be AOC. She's disliked by too much as well. When you look into the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries, he doesn't come across. Mayor Adams of New York had moments where he was likable, but he's proven to be easily pressured. But when he spoke truth, look at Mayor Adams. He was saying, hey, Biden, you're not doing what you should to help New York City. And by calling out and saying that we have issues with the borders, he said plural, meaning the north border, which they also get a lot of Canadian influx, and the busing and flying from the southern border. He asked for help and kind of demanded it. Next thing you know, he gets FBI raids on his campaign supervisor, and an FBI raid. He had 2 FBI raids. Do you notice Mayor Adams doesn't talk negative anymore? FBI is pretty much the bully stick of the DNC. I think we've proven that. So how we got on time? All righty there. So we are at... let's jump to the next topic then. We've got JFK Jr., I think, is going to be a juggernaut for disappointment. I don't think he can win, but I think he's got the ability to shake up the people. Here's a Christian mother who confronts a woke school board, and see what you think. I think a lot of us like these mama bears. Mama bear was awoken.
Heidi Brown, Lower Frederick. Well, folks, evil is here. Satan has come for our children, right in front of us. We're not hateful. We are trying to protect our children. What's happening and what I see on the internet from some of those that have spoken, children dancing around males dressed as females in very provocative clothing, being cheered on. That's what's happening. That's what's going to be in our bathrooms with our young girls. It's unbelievable. We're living it right now. Satan is here. He is after our children. We need to stand up. We need to continue this fight. We are doing such an injustice to our children and our girls. It is so upsetting. This is a mental illness that you are forcing on our children to be participants in. It's a mental illness. 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 You're not going to convince me of anything else. There are two genders, male and female. You can decide and pretend to be anything you want, and I will be respectful, as long as you're respectful to me. We are crossing the line, forcing our children to believe in this. Unbelievable. Thank you to the board members that fought to keep this in place, 720. And I pray for what is to come when the community hears of this.
That was one upset mother, and you could tell, like many mama bears, they don't like or enjoy what they're doing, but you start messing with someone's kid, it's like it's on like Donkey Kong. You're going to try to bring perversion or do any mental sublimination to my child or my grandchild, not while I have a voice and not while I have an ability to stand up to you. And she stood up, and way to go, Idaho, this mother. And this was 2 weeks ago. A mother addressed the school board at, let's see, it's in Pennsylvania, after they changed their student bathroom policy, allowing kids to use restrooms of their choice. And so it's happening, and this is in an elementary school, friend. An elementary school. I mean, you used to call it birds and the bees, not anymore. They're calling it the freaks and the wheeze. I'm telling you what, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. I think we need to understand. Well, that's why I think people are losing support for Biden. And here's one famous guy that says, I can't support Joe Biden anymore. See what you think.
Am I happy with the state of America right now? Well, that answer is no. Do I believe we're going to get better? I believe in that. I'm an optimistic guy, and I believe we can get better.
All righty then.
The endorsement that I made years ago with Biden was one I thought was the best decision for me at that time. And I thought back then, when we talk about, hey, I'm in this position where I have some influence, and it's my job then. I felt like that then. It's my job now to exercise my influence and share with this is who I'm going to endorse. Am I going to do that again this year? That answer is no.
So that was The Rock, Dwayne The Rock, if you will, saying he is withdrawing his endorsement for Joe Biden and says he will not be endorsing him. Now, he's not said he would endorse Trump or Kennedy yet. He just said he will not be endorsing Joe Biden. And what's interesting is, if you remember, he did a song about Hillary Clinton. I'm going to see if I can type it in. Rock sings to Hillary. And I'll play it for you when we come back. But he's pretty bombastic. I was rather shocked. We'll be back. This is Macil Duncan. If you'd like to help us feed the hungry, you can go online today at www.appletonbaptist.com. That's appletonbaptist.com and help us feed the hungry. We're feeding right at 3,000 people or more a month, one time. We do that by giving out food at our food pantry, but also going downtown to the tent cities and a lot of veterans and homeless people. So again, help us feed the hungry at www.appletonbaptist.com.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employee retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars. You need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. 800-932-3721. That's 800-932-3721.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
I'm a mechanic, and I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this new diagnostic tool called Fix. I'm a little skeptical.
Welcome back, my friends. This is the Patriot Pastor, Macil Duncan, and we've got a wonderful thing. I was sharing with you guys. I got the results in right here. 30 states have watched the show, and 24 countries now on the Street Level America. And some of you said, why did you make the switch from the smaller station to a more national? Well, it's actually kind of a global. Street Level America and Heartbeat USA has me now, like I said, in 32 states, 24 countries, and we're getting listeners from all over, and it's a great time to share, just political views, biblical views, and etc. So it's been good for us, and I appreciate all that like and share the show. Well, RFK Jr., New York campaign director, is focused on preventing Biden from winning.
RFK Jr.'s New York campaign director has a #1 priority, and Lauren's going to tell us what it is.
Preventing Joe Biden from winning.
Why am I not
and
surprised?
Turning New York red.
Now, did you hear that? This is according to Stu Varney. They're saying they believe that there is an intention by the Kennedys to turn New York red. Check this out.
RFK Jr.'s New York campaign director has a #1 priority, and Lauren's going to tell us what it is.
Preventing Joe Biden from winning.
Why am I not
and
surprised?
turning New York red. This from Rita Palma. Quote, the only way that Trump can even have the remote possibility of taking New York is if Bobby is on the ballot. If it's Trump versus Biden, Biden wins. Biden wins 6 days, 7 days a week. With Bobby in the mix, anything can happen. And yes, New York could go red. She was speaking as a private citizen. I do want to point that out. But her comments do reflect the belief that a third-party candidate, an RFK Jr., hurts Biden more than he hurts Trump. And that's why the Biden war chest and war machine is out to get him.
RFK Jr.'s New York.
And that's true. Now, as I go up here to remind you what Carville said, Carville, who was the former campaign director for the Kennedys, and it's the economy, stupid. That was his phrase. James Carville, Biden he cannot replicate 2020 coalition. And he goes on to talk about how the non-white male is detached, and he has a significant problem now with ethnics and minorities. So this is going to be interesting. And again, JFK Jr., this is the Daily Wire, it's Biden who has to worry, not Trump. They truly believe that Kennedy is going to be a advocate, if you will, to Donald Trump because MAGA is so loyal. What they are sensing, though, is the dissatisfaction the Democrats have with Biden. Some of them that can't stomach voting for Trump will, in protest, vote for Bobby, knowing it's going to cost the election, but to send a message to the Democrats. 78% in a USA poll a few weeks ago said 78% of registered Democrats, they are not happy that they were only given the choice of Biden. Now, I believe if Kennedy had run against Biden in a Democratic primary, I think Kennedy could have taken him in a Democratic primary. Now, that's just my opinion, but I don't know what you guys think. Well, got a couple of other quick things here for you. CBN News, or actually 700 Club, the Democrats run cities do a U-turn on liberal crime policies.
Homelessness are making several American cities unlivable and causing many residents to flee. So more and more cities that had embraced lax policies are now backtracking and adopting tougher laws. Dale Hurd has the story.
When former Portland State philosophy professor Peter Boghossian decided to leave the city he loved, Portland, Oregon, he didn't mince words.
Portland is like an open sewer. It's a cesspool.
Did you hear that? Portland is like an open sewer. It's a cesspool.
Portland, Oregon, he didn't mince words.
Portland is like an open sewer.
Words.
Portland is like an open sewer. And sewer. And sewer. And sewer. It's a cesspool. Murder over here. Porch pirate over here. Car stolen here. Dog mutilated over here. The murder rate is up 300%. The homelessness is terrible. Addiction.
That description fits a number of American cities where residents have moved on due to crime, drugs, tent cities, and trash. Cities like Seattle.
I witnessed one individual pull out a knife and start threatening a group of others. Saw the aftermath of one shooting.
Los Angeles.
And I kid you not, you guys, there were at least 5 to 7 crimes happening every single day. And these crimes weren't like 5 miles away, 10 miles away. They were all within a mile of where we were living.
In San Francisco.
We saw needles on the floor and urine everywhere. It smells horrible. Everywhere. It's not just like one bad street, right? Or like one bad area.
It's everywhere. It's even on the main street.
Not one cop in sight, like at all. Did you see any cops?
No.
We didn't see any cops.
As more and more people and businesses flee the crime and chaos in some urban areas, city leaders have realized they have to do something. In New York City, the National Guard has been called in to help fight the rampant crime on the city's subways. D.C. just passed a sweeping crime bill that increases penalties for theft and gun crime. San Francisco voters have approved 2 ballot measures that expand police surveillance and require drug tests for welfare recipients.
Wow. Who would have thought they'd finally, this is something they've asked for some time, drug testing for welfare recipients. So, as I told you earlier, the FBI has been accused by Jesse Waters and his other constituents that there has been a cover-up of crime, and they have padded the statistics to make Biden look better. Here's another report.
charged with killing the couple in December of 2017.
But Newsy has discovered thousands of America's police agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents into the nation's premier crime database. Discovered thousands of America's police agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents into the nation's premier crime database. Discovered thousands of America's police agencies have for now stopped reporting crime incidents into the nation's premier crime database, the Uniform Crime Report.
The Uniform Crime Report. A lot of the blue cities are not reporting the crimes because they don't want Biden to look weaker than he is. And that's a shame. So the Democrat-run cities are doing a U-turn on liberal crime policies, as I mentioned. And as we go back here to the 700 Club and catch the last bit of this interview, it's rather interesting.
Former prosecutor Cully Stimson asked why it took them so long.
What happened in the last 3 years? Where have those policies been? They could have done this from the beginning. And, you know, we're supposed to forget about the tens of thousands of people who have died at the hands of violent criminals, the tens of thousands of businesses that have been robbed, the stores that have closed. We're not going to forget because they happened because of these liberal policies.
We asked the president of the American Main Street Initiative, Jeff Anderson, why any city leader would think less law enforcement would turn out well.
Well, it's a good question. I don't think any sensible person ever would have thought that. It's not often you see these really atrocious far-left ideas implemented and carried out and then experimented on so quickly. I think the tent city quality of our cities with people just living wherever, drug addicts roaming around, rampant crime in our large cities, it's become kind of a nightmare. We seem to be relearning all the lessons we had to learn in the 1960s and 70s before we got wise on crime again.
And that's true. And so it's interesting. Crime used to say crime doesn't pay. Well, that changed under Biden. Crime did pay. And people were allowed to go into stores and looting in a lot of these liberal cities. Well, now we've got over 400 Target stores that have now shut down primarily in blue states and inner cities. There's now over 600 Walmarts that have shut down primarily in blue states and large cities. They don't want their stuff stolen and nobody doing anything about it. Very interesting. Also got some new stats here. Ohio is now, as of today, is our #1 listening up on the downloads. Ohio, we're getting tons of listeners in the Midwest. Thank you, Ohio. My buddy Chuck and some others there that have been listening to the show for some time. We appreciate that. And if you see Jim Jordan, tell him I said hello. I'd love to have him on the show. Well, as we move forward, a lot of stuff's happening, and I think what you're going to find in the days and weeks ahead is people are being very truthful in what they believe and what they're accepting. Now, this trans movement that is really got a lot of parents upset. I played for you the school teacher, and she was pretty upset about it, and rightfully so. I've brought this back to y'all's attention a couple of times, but there is a movement to possibly have marriage with robots. I kid you not. The future of humanity. Now in Japan, you can buy right now a full functional female robot. Did you know that? She's able to do any duties, we'll just say, as a woman flesh. But they're making these robots, and there's people. The mechanics of marriage. Can a person make love to a robot and marry it? Well, the answer, according to this guy, is yes. Scientists believe this scenario is more likely than a machine uprising. Dr. Levy believes that the first human-robot marriage could be registered before the middle of the century, within the next 2 to 3 decades, if not sooner. In other words, the moral boundaries in the relationship between machines and humans will be practically erased. See, you got to understand, they have strategies. They don't want to just do away with genders for no reason. If you can do away with genders, then you can bring in other things on the level of humanity. Savvy? This is Macil Duncan. My new book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Lifeway Books, Thrifty, wherever you get your online material. Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Don't forget my radio show is every day, 3 to 6 p.m. on the Street Level America and U.S. Radio Today Heartbeat. We're in 32 states and multiple countries, and thanks so much. Move Your Mountains by Macil Duncan.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
This is Macil Duncan. If you'd like to help us feed the hungry, you can go online today at www.appletonbaptist.com. That's appletonbaptist.com, and help us feed the hungry. We're feeding right at 3,000 people or more a month, one time. We do that by giving out food at our food pantry, but also going downtown to the tent cities and a lot of veterans and homeless people. So again, help us feed the hungry at www.appletonbaptist.com.
Attention business owners. Have you already filed for your employee retention credit with the IRS? As reported in a major financial paper, the IRS will be slowing down ERC checks. You could now be waiting several months to a year plus to get your ERC money. We can help you get it within 10 days. As long as you've already filed for your ERC with the IRS, we can advance you the money. Finance ERC has already funded millions of dollars in ERC money. You don't need to wait to get your money. We can get it to you within 10 days. Again, if you've already filed your employer retention credit, we can help you get the money in your bank account within 10 days from today. But you need to call right now while time is on your side. Here's our number. Not available in all states.
800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. 800-570-7651. That's 800-570-7651.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and thank you for joining the Macil Duncan Show. We're broadcast live here from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we're with Street Level America, Heartbeat USA. It's taken us into 30-plus states, the District of Columbia, 24 countries now, and Mexico and Canada. We've got a good following. So we appreciate all those that like and share the show. Tell your friends about the Macil Duncan Show. It's on daily 3 to 6 p.m. Interrogation video of a man behind Trump National Doral Resort shooting in 2018 resurfaces. The reason it resurfaced? Because he's claiming Diddy, the rapper, is gay, and he was one of his sex slaves. This just dropped on the Gateway Pundit. It's one of the new drops that happened in the last 20 minutes. An interrogation video from 2018 involving Jonathan Oddie, a man involved in a violent episode at the Trump National Doral Resort in Florida, has come to light, revealing shocking allegations against the music mogul Sean Diddy Combs and singer Cassie Ventura. Okay, in May 2018, Jonathan Oddie, a South African native, stormed into the lobby of the Trump National Doral Golf Club, flashing a gun and shouting anti-Trump rhetoric. The situation escalated into a gunfight with law enforcement before Oddie was taken into custody. Audie, a former male escort with a background that includes work as a stripper, adult porn star, sounds like Zelensky, and has been incarcerated since the incident. Miami-Dade's police director said Odie removed a flag from the back of the property and entered the lobby early Friday morning, shouting anti-Trump rhetoric and later shooting into the ceiling and chandeliers as officers rushed in. So he didn't shoot at people, he shot at the ceiling. Interesting. So during the police interrogation following his arrest, Odie made startling claims about his personal encounters with Combs, P. Diddy that is, and that he was a toy for the boys. Anyway, he described himself as having been a sex slave for the P. Diddy, and he was an escort and had many occasions with Mr. P. Diddy. So you can go read more of this salacious accusation that allegedly happened at the Gateway Pundit. Well, National Guard member arrested for smuggling illegal immigrant across the border. I guess you're going to have some of these moments. A member of the Texas National Guard was arrested after he was caught on a video smuggling an illegal immigrant across the southern border in his government-issued vehicle. A video specialist, Savon Johnson, who was deployed in Eagle Pass, Texas, was seen leading Texas Department of Public Safety authorities on a high-speed chase after authorities were alerted by Johnson's suspicious actions near a Border Patrol checkpoint. Johnson has since been charged with smuggling an illegal person, evading arrest, and unlawfully carrying a weapon. Okay, Governor Greg Abbott's spokesman stated that if the allegations against Johnson are true, he's a traitor and a criminal. It's going to be interesting. So a National Guard soldier deployed from McAllen to Eagle Pass, okay, in the Lone Star State, was busted for attempting to smuggle an illegal immigrant. So that's something you go check and see what you think about the story. As I don't know if you know, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. I've been celebrating her victory because I think it's a twofold victory. One, I think it proves that women don't need men in their sport to be a success. So all these guys that can't make it in the boy world, so sorry, but leave the girls alone. That's what Title IX is all about, allowing women to be women and successful in their own sports. She did that, but the second thing is her character. Much like the coach from South Carolina, who defeated them in the national championship game, said you've got to give her creds because she had the weight of the world, if you will, on her. Every game she was scrutinized, but she packed stadiums pretty much for the past 2 years, but especially this year. The average ticket price for the Final Four was higher than the men for the first time ever. And so she raised the level, she raised the finances, she's raised the roof. But a liberal journalist throws race tantrum over Caitlin Clark's success, furious about coverage compared to black players. Now this is so stupid. Because someone that doesn't have a little bit of tint to their skin is good, if not the best this year. You've got to go cray. The race card's getting a little bit old. I think a lot of folks are getting sick of it. You got to just acknowledge people for who they are, not their color. Far left former ESPN Jemele Hill. Is anybody surprised? This is a racist chick right here. She can't stand the fact that Iowa superstar point guard Caitlin Clark recording breaking senior season and attacking record audiences in women's basketball. Now, Jemele Hill has been fired from ESPN and other places because of her racist rants and hatefulness towards white males. She hates white men. And she kept getting in trouble, and she's been fired. So Jemele Hill doesn't like Caitlin Clark. Surprise, surprise, as Gomer would say. Well, Trump lawyer John Eastman officially disbarred for challenging the 2020 election. And many of us feel this is an outrage and it's a shame. But President Trump's lawyer, John Eastman, was officially disbarred this week after a judge ruled he should have his law license stripped for challenging the 2020 election. Eastman on Thursday asked a California judge to pause the disbarment ruling, citing massive legal fees. Trump 2020 election lawyer John Eastman faced disbarment in California for undermining democracy for trying to overturn the presidential election. The January 6th committee sent the feds after John Eastman because he dared to take action against the Democrats and their massive election fraud operation 2020, according here to the Gateway Pundit. So recall Eastman was previously ambushed by the FBI as he was exiting a restaurant in New Mexico. John Eastman was exiting a restaurant with his wife and her friend last June when FBI agents ambushed him, forced him to unlock his phone. The federal agents then took Eastman's iPhone and 12 Pro. Eastman was also indicted by Fani Willis and charged with counts of RICO, solicitation, violation of oath of public office, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, conspiracy to commit foreign forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements, conspiracy to commit filing false documents, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, and filing false documents. Well, Georgia, aren't you proud of your Fanny? Anyway, Biden again tries to win over young voters with new student loan bailout. I thought the Supreme Court told him this was wrong, but he keeps finding ways to bring it up. President Joe Biden, facing poor polling numbers for Democrat candidate with young voters, announced another student loan bailout program this week ahead of the 2024 presidential election. His plan comes the U.S. Supreme Court blocked his attempt last year because it was illegal. Biden's new plan, again, it's illegal, Joe, but Biden's new plan would take taxpayer money to wipe out the student loan debt of over 30 million borrowers. How about that, folks? Your tax dollars are going to pay for some kid's loan that they willfully signed for and pledged to pay off. You and I can do that. One of their stupid plans was to add a 4%, get this, new home buyer, people with good credit only. If you had bad credit, those with good credit would have a 4% added to your house payment so that you could pay off other people's loans. I mean, does anybody monitor what goes in the pudding of Joe Biden? Anyway, you can go to the Daily Wire and read this. Today, too many Americans, especially young people, are saddled with unsustainable debts. Well, that's because your economy sucks, Joe. Okay? The ability for working the middle class folks to repay their student loans has become so burdensome that a lot can't repay it for even decades after being in school. You signed for it, okay? They have options. They got bankruptcy. You get jobs. You do what you got to do to pay your debts, but you shouldn't try to tax other people to pay other people's debts. That's just my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. But the Biden administration is one I think a lot of folks still trouble about. This is Trump's new ad. See what you think of it. 2016. Okay, the sound's not coming through. This has happened twice today, and I do apologize. We're having sound issues. Boom. Okay, then it came through. That scared me. Let me go back to this one then, if it's going to play. No, I guess we lost it. Well, my friends, I'll be back for my final 15. Whew.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
A lot of people are focusing on the wrong things.
This is Macil Duncan. My new book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Lifeway Books, Thrifty, wherever you get your online material. Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith That Can Overcome. Don't forget my radio show is every day, 3 to 6 p.m. on the Street Level America and U.S. Radio Today Heartbeat. We're in 32 states and multiple countries, and thanks so much. Move Your Mountains by Macil Duncan.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. 800-957-6062. That's 800-957-6062. Paid for by Term Direct.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. 800-803-3771. That's 800-803-3771.
There's a very special woman that The Rock wanted to sing a very special song to tonight. No, not Cookie Puss. And I'd like to bring her out here. Would you please come out? That's nice. Don't be shy. Come on out. I just want to sing a song to you. There you are. You look so nice. I got a very special song I wanted to sing for you. You ran off last time. Last time I was talking to you backstage. Sing a very special song. I want to sing it in front of the world. One of my favorite artists, Mr. Eric Clapton. Late in the evening, she's wondering what clothes to wear. She puts on her makeup. She brushes her short hair. And then she'll ask me,
This is The Rock singing to Hillary Clinton.
do I look alright? And I said, no, biatch, you look horrible tonight.
He called her a biatch.
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear this.
This is for Hillary
The
now.
world wants to sing it to you. You abuse all your power.
You abuse all your power.
Waste everybody's time. You dress like a hooker. Not the expensive kind. your ass to the airport. Take a one-way flight. Because, biatch, you look horrible tonight.
Now that was The Rock singing to Hillary Clinton. This was back in 2016 or so, 7-8 years ago. And he went from making fun of Hillary Clinton, calling her this biatch, to supporting Biden in 2020, which shocked a lot of people. Well, now he has withdrawn his support of Biden. He hasn't said who he's supporting now. So The Rock is one of those flip-floppers. You don't know where he's going to land. And I think that's where the country is. A lot of people are flip-flop. Who do you trust? Who we're going to vote for? You know, who's the person that we're going to say, hey, I want to support? I think you're going to have a lot of concerns, in my opinion, with the upcoming election. And I think many folks are concerned because we don't seem to have the answers to certain things. And I'm going to try to play this song again.
The Secret Service was investigating the shocking discovery of cocaine just steps from the Oval Office. Conservative media is pointing the finger at the president's troubled son, Hunter.
This was all unfolding in between visits from the president's son, Hunter, a recovering drug addict.
You can tour the White House if you give him an ounce of cocaine. But it got shut down when somebody found his cocaine.
Secret Service evacuated parts of the White House yesterday.
Hunter likes cocaine.
You identified Hunter Biden was paying prostitutes related to a potential prostitution ring. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yes, that's correct.
They won't prosecute when he buys prostitutes and cocaine.
The D.C. Fire Department confirmed it was cocaine.
When they impeach Trump, he celebrates with a bump of cocaine.
Hunter Biden had written off payments to prostitutes.
Hunter likes cocaine.
There were deductions for what we believe to be escorts, and then that $10,000 golf club membership that was for a sex club.
His computer got pawned while he was high on cocaine. He said it was hacked, but he sold it for crack cocaine.
Dishonor. Now you can go catch the rest of that song. It's White House Cocaine. It's rather humorous, but I think we've played enough of that. But Penny, you know, we're on the last segment here. Tulsi Gabbard. I've mentioned before that I'm a fan of Tulsi in that she stood tall. In 2016, when Donald Trump won the presidency, he invited all of Congress and Senate to come meet with him at Trump Tower. She's the only Democrat that went, the only one. And she said because she had taken the oath as a soldier to protect and defend the country, even though she didn't agree with this policy, she went and she got excoriated. The congresswoman from Hawaii, she later, went on to support Bernie Sanders. She supported Bernie Sanders. But a lot of folks feel it was amazing because she resigned from VP of the party. And her superdelegacy at the Democrat convention, when they chose to support Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, she said they stole the nomination. So a lot of folks feel she met with Donald Trump for two reasons. One, to tell her party, I don't like how you took out Bernie Sanders, but two, he's the president. So Tulsi Gabbard got a lot of cred in a lot of our books for doing that. That was very strong. Then she tried to run for president in 2020, and I cannot believe the way they treated her. She was probably their most popular potential candidate. If the Democrats had coalesced around her, I believe she would have been a great choice. And again, her and Kennedy, I think, would have been a dynamic duo for the Democrats, but they gave them both the Heisman. So here is Tulsi Gabbard explaining what she thinks about the 2020 election. See what you think.
A real election?
Well, no. I mean, it was an election, but I think that a lot of people are focusing on the wrong things when they're talking about it being a quote unquote rigged election. Because you got to look at the influence operations. You got to look at.
That's what he said.
Yeah, I said that for
That's
years.
what he said
Like
for
you don't
years.
have to hack a machine, but you can hack somebody's brain.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And you look at how the parties were trying to tilt the scales. You look at the freaking ongoing coup that started against President Trump from the time that he was running in 2016. We're talking about the quote unquote deep state and what that looks like. That continued on throughout almost his entire presidency in 2016 and is still going on. And this whole Russia collusion thing was really at the heart of it.
Has that ever?
Now, this is Tulsi Gabbard, again, a Democrat from Hawaii. She leans very liberal, and she's defending Trump in that she's telling truth. Not that she's a GOPer, but listen again.
I wonder, maybe somebody knows this, but has it ever happened before that a previous administration just continued to control the office after the old administration was out? I'm sure it's happened.
I'm sure it's
in some
happened,
places.
but not to this level.
Yeah.
Because there's never been.
Because it was the entire intelligence community.
It was.
Like every retired IC guy who was a fucking, like let's say, out of GS, right? Like above GS level, was writing letters like, oh, this is real. Like, no, it's not. And then they came back a couple years later with the Hunter Biden laptop, like, oh, it's fake. Like, no, it's not.
Right.
Like,
so again, this guy, sorry, he slipped a word in there, but that's the way the Democrats roll, you know. Hunter Biden's laptop, that wasn't real. But that letter signed by the 51, and we found out later, that was a false statement. Where's the accountability for the dishonesty? It should not be allowed to mislead the American people like they do. I want some accountability. I would like to see something happen to these folks, but that's just me. I could be one out there like a voice in the wilderness. But this is President Obama. See what you think.
The one constitutional office elected by all of the people is the presidency. So at a minimum, we should expect a president to feel a sense of responsibility for the safety and welfare of all 330 million of us, regardless of what we look like, how we worship, who we love, how much money we have, or who we voted for.
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
But we should also expect a president to be the custodian of this democracy.
No.
We should expect that regardless of ego, ambition, or political beliefs, the president will preserve, protect, and defend the freedoms and ideals that so many Americans marched for.
So that's Joe the Biden. I don't know what you guys think, but I think he's, once again, saying one thing and he does another. But anyway, my friends, I'll be back tomorrow. This is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. Be safe, America. God bless you and Godspeed.
You fill the papers with your trash.